Strike Season podcast. Our special guest, Coach LaMonte Vaughn Jr., Grambling State track coach. Lot going on, lot being made of a lot of stuff. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's not what we're here for today. We do our interviews a little differently. Coach, welcome to the show. Um, Indoor season wrapped up. I saw you got some SWAC champions on your squad. Tell us a little bit about your SWAC champions, and then we'll talk about the squad as a whole after that.
Gotcha. We had Skylar Hutnell, transferred from West Virginia State, won the 5K in the conference record, 14:53. Um, it's not only his first time under 15 minutes, it's his first time under 16 minutes. We've had a successful season so far. Left a little food on the table in the mall. You can't play with your food. He knew that. We knew that. Took an L there, which happens, but I think it's motivating him. He's had a good week of practice and he's bounced back. He bounced back after the mile and won the 5K. But we got some other people that it was more of a total team effort. We had the distance. We had two hurdlers on the men's side that made the final. We had some jumpers, which we've always had a strong jump program with Coach Lattin and the work that he's been doing. But now we've added Coach Hagan Landry, and our throwers have started to improve dramatically. I've got to get our women together. They're young, inexperienced, but we're going to get it together and figure it out. And I think we've got some good surprises that's coming outdoor with a couple of javelin throwers, and I think we're better in the hammer and discus than we are the weight throw. And we've got some really good javelin throwers, so we're going to try and step it up. We've always been solid in the relays. I think we're going to improve there. And I've got two freshmen in the 400 hurdles that I think are going to really make an impact. And I've got a transfer young lady and two transfer young ladies in the sprints that just need to get some more reps. It's been we had a difficult close to our fall because we had, actually, I don't know if people know this, but Grambling, we ended the semester right around the Bayou Classic time. So you're talking about Thanksgiving. And we didn't come back until January 5th. And then after our first two meets, we had a week-long ice storm. So we've just now equaled that time missed in the time that we've been back. So we got our work cut out for us. And these coaches and athletes in the SWAC are not going to give you anything. So we got to learn how to take stuff. There are too many great programs, too many great coaches. And HBCU track and field, SWAC track and field is some of the best in the country. We just don't get recognized for it because I think people kind of just think that our conference is lesser than because it's not the SEC. I ran in the SEC. The Big 12 is not the SEC. It's the closest thing to it, but the ACC is not the SEC. The Big 10 is closing in because they've added all those schools, but the SEC is the anomaly, not the norm. But if you want to sprint and jump well, the HBCUs are just as competitive. If you want to be a conference champion, in this conference, you got to be a regional qualifier, especially outdoors. Every year a school in the SWAC is doing something at the NCAA meet. So we've got to work cut out for us, and we know that. But we respect everybody in this conference and how we compete. But it's a cutthroat conference, and it's getting better every year. When I walked into this conference, what could make a final in the sprints can't make a final anymore. What could win is getting you 6th, 7th, 8th place points. So we got to step up, and it's a daunting challenge. But again, I'm an SEC guy. I'll blow you out if you let me, but I'm built for close races. So our team's learning that.
So we talked on the phone earlier this week, and you talked about the squad and the squad that you're putting together through recruiting. What type of athletes do you like to bring into your program?
Tough and smart. I can't do anything with you if you're not smart, and I can't do anything with you if you're not tough. Because the way that my dad's a Morehouse grad. My dad, graduated in the 60s. I think he was a freshman when King started marching. The thing that my grandparents and my parents taught me was, as a black person in America, you have to work 10 times as hard to be considered equally as good. I think that's the HBCU experience now in the 2020s. I think it might have always been that way. From the Tiger Bells at Tennessee State to, the North Carolina A&T teams led by Coach Ross, who's now at Tennessee. If you want to get up in those ranks, you're going to have to work 10 times as hard. So you got to be tough. You got to be mentally, emotionally, and physically tough. So, I mean, I need to be smart enough to go to class. I need to be smart enough to go to study hall and do the things that it takes. I'm looking for mature people. I tell people all the time, I don't coach girls, I don't coach boys, I coach men and I coach women. And I'm going to treat you that way. I'm going to talk to you that way. I'm going to hold you accountable that way. I'm going to coach you that way. But I'm not going to have childish conversations with people who say they're grown. So, you got to come in here with some maturity. And part of that maturity is if you messed up, you got to realize and own your crap and start the process of working it. So show me what those results look like. If you were immature your freshman and sophomore year in high school, then your transcript, your junior and senior year should show your maturity. I want to see those type of things. So I'm more of a systemic type of guy. I try to look at the whole picture. Who you are as a student, who you are as an athlete, who you are as a person. That's what I'm looking for.
Marlo?
I had a question, Coach.
Yeah.
I ran track at FAM back in the early '90s. Under Coach Lane. We had a pretty dominant track program back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were in the MEAC
Yeah.
then, but how do you see the landscape now in the SWAC? Because our travel was crazy because we had to go play Delaware State or run in Delaware and North Carolina up in A&T and places like that. And we've even been to Louisiana a few times.
Mm-hmm.
How is the travel for the programs now? I know the funding isn't
Yeah.
where it needs to be, but
From what I'm hearing of other coaches, the indoor piece is the tricky piece. Um, there are more indoor tracks than before. Like when you were running, I think you might have ran one of my high school teammates. Jerry Sutton was a multi-event out of Tennessee.
Jerry, that
Yeah,
is my
she's one of my
girl.
teammates. Yeah, she's one of my teammates. She's
Oh,
currently back home in Tennessee. Yeah.
yeah, she just
So
retired.
yeah, small world. But
Yes, that's awesome.
the hard part is trying to find indoor facilities that will let you in. We all have connections in some way, shape, or form. Birmingham is having the complex in Birmingham has helped some, but now there's a track in Gainesville. South Carolina has a track, so our
Yeah,
easternmost schools can get into those places a little bit more frequently. Um, the Alabama States and Alabama A&Ms can go to the crossplex when they need to. It's a little tough for us because the closest places for us is either the crossplex, Arkansas if they let us in, A&M if they let us in, and Houston if they let us in. LSU, people still run at LSU. I'm just not a fan of flat 200-meter tracks. I ran my freshman year at SECs on that track, and my left ankle still hurts. So, and I ran the 8 myself. So, I'm just, it's hard to get in a lot of these places because, and we still, none of us still have an indoor facility to call our own on our campus. The only one that I know of in the HBCU
correct.
landscape is Tennessee State, and Tennessee State doesn't use their flat 200-meter track anymore. They might use it for practice, but I haven't seen them meet at Tennessee State in
No,
a long time. And I ran on that track in high school. But I think the
we used
facilities
to.
race, yeah, the facilities race in at our schools, the HBCUs, we got to catch up, and so we need the donorship, we need the viewership, we need the sponsorship at our schools to start building facilities like that, and in order for us to close the gap for recruiting, for competition, and just for the fans. There are fans of HBCU track and field. We need a venue where they can come. And the landscape too of college athletics is changing. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the direction of it. But I think in the HBCU landscape we can be innovators. I do think we need, if we have an HBCU national championship in football, we need one in indoor and outdoor track and field. And I believe HBCU championships should be on HBCU campus. So the fans can come and make an economic impact at our universities, in our areas, at our restaurants, at our barbershops and salons, at our local businesses selling T-shirts and what have you. License gear, please, because that money goes right back to the university. I understand the street team, do what you got to do, but look, the license gear goes back to the universities because we have corporate relationships. So we've got to invest back into our own, and in order to do that, we need to have the venue for them to come home
to. Very well said. I think we used to have to go to Middle Tennessee State to run indoor back in the day.
Those blind
in
corners,
the mountain.
Can't stand those blind corners, man.
That's
I'm
just
Tennessee,
crazy.
so yeah, I frequently.
But yeah,
mm-hmm.
I know. Yeah. Speaking of Tennessee, do you go and recruit any athletes from back home?
I recruit wherever I can, man. I've got kids from Trinidad on my team. I've got a young lady from Antigua on my team. I've got a Jamaican. I've had Jamaicans on my team. We just signed one of the best hammer throwers in the country recently, and he's from Connecticut, Maine area. We got kids, Cali kids. We got Chicago kids. We got Houston kids. We got Baton Rouge kids. I don't care, man. If you got grades, if you can help us, and you're going to do the work, I really don't care where you come from. You can come from Canada, Antarctica, Mars, Jupiter. I really don't care. If you want to be here and you want to do what we do and respond to what we need to respond to, then I have a space for you.
All right, Coach. I'm gonna ask an interesting question because
sure.
High school track, I used to go to practice every day knowing that my coach was gonna say something insane. He might say 880s, 440s or something. How rough are your practices?
I call them intense, but race functional. Everything that I do at practice, everything my jump coach does, everything my throws coach does, is championship race functional, championship competition functional. So I like to burn both ends of the candle. Even my milers, or I'm still trying to figure out these middle distance and distance races. We got to go fast. They need to know what fast feels like. So yeah, we do our 30s and 40s and 60s and 80s and stuff like that. But for a quarter miler, what I've learned is to start giving things in doses that they can that they can consume. A lot of kids that I get aren't high school All-Americans, right? So, just because I've coached at UCLA and coached at Washington and I ran at Kentucky, one of the greatest things my coach Daryl Anderson, who's back as the men's sprint coach at Kentucky, when he told me when I got into coaching, and I grew up around coaches, my dad was my high school coach. One of the first things he told me when I was a young coach getting started, he said, you got to remember, you're not coaching you or your teammates. So you got to develop workouts that work for them and hold them to that standard and find a way to get things done. So like say my University of Washington crew, we had an indoor facility. So there were things that I could do in the winter and the fall when it starts raining in Seattle that I couldn't do at Marshall University when I was coaching there. We barely had an outdoor track. So we got to make things functional. But my dad coached for a long time in Tennessee. Still chilling. He's probably sitting with my mother right now in the house. He just said meet these young people where they are, not where you think they should be. And so that's what we do. We try to meet them where they are. So a lot of times when I walk into practice and look at warm-ups, it's movement assessment. Are you sore? Are you sick? How's your affect? What's your mental state? What's your emotional state right now? So I try to do that and get to know these kids so I can make those adjustments as needed. But when I got that watch in my hand, it's time to go to work. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, today's practice, the best way I can describe it is they're gonna sleep well tonight. But I tell people all the time, I'm gonna make you pray to some type of deity at some point in the day. You either going, Lord, please don't let this man kill me today, or you might be in the middle of the workout. You might be talking to God and say, please, Lord, don't let me kill this man. And then at the end of it, you might say, thank you, Jesus, that it's over. But you're gonna talk to God at some point during the day.
I know
So
back in the day, the technology wasn't what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't have the medical tools for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you see the difference in the way the athletes are recovering now from when we ran?
I think there's more knowledge about it. There's more communication about it. This era is the age of communication and access to info. We didn't have these cell phones in the palm of our hands where we could Google something. We couldn't reach out to another athlete immediately and get an immediate response back. So I think there's more knowledge about it, from the athlete to athlete, from trainer to trainer, from trainer to coach, to athlete to coach. There's more knowledge about it. So there's so many more different ways you can. So they have, we had an encyclopedia. They got Google, right? So the expanse of that knowledge, they can reach into a wider pot and pull out something that works for them, or they can pull out something they could try. We didn't have that. And so we had to figure it out a little bit differently than they have to figure it out. So it's just, and the thing that I tell my staff all the time is, we have to give them grace. There is always room for accountability, always, but we have to give them grace because as we get older, our tolerance for immaturity shrinks. But we have to give them the same grace that somebody gave us to mature and to grow. And so it's the same thing when we talk about training. It's the same thing when we talk about academics. It's the same thing when we talk about recovery, the weight room, nutrition. We have to give them grace because, 18 to 22-year-olds are still 18 to 22-year-olds. When my dad was in the 60s and he was 18 to 22 in the early 60s, it's the same thing. He had to grow up just like we had to grow up in the 80s and 90s, and the 2000s is and the
Yeah.
2010s and the 2020s. They still got to grow up. And so what we have to do as coaches is provide them the resources to do so, support them as they do it, and help them adjust when necessary. So I always want my athletes to know that they can come to me and ask me any question at all. And with women, it's different sometimes. I'm getting ready to turn 52 in a month and a half. I recognize as a 52-year-old man, there's some things that an 18 to 22-year-old woman don't want to talk to me about. So we have to have the resources. So another thing too is the influx of women in athletics has been a change, especially for women. There are voices, there's representation for them that helps them. So now they don't have to come to just me. They can come to. I've got a sports supervisor, Ryan Logan, who was an All-American and a heptathlete when she was at UT San Antonio. Our academic director was one of my former athletes when I coached at Louisiana Tech. So they have these resources, and it's just you're 18 to 22. You just don't know where they are. So we got to direct you to them, empower you to go, and empower you by supporting you to make sure that you're going. Because the other thing too is I think what's happened in the last couple of years, especially coming off of COVID, is mental and emotional health has come to the forefront, which does affect the physical health as well. So we have to be more aware of those things as men in these spaces. The Me Too movement has shaped kind of how a lot of coaches' messages, especially for men, have changed, men to women. But we've got to be aware of those things, and we've got to empower ourselves. We've got to educate ourselves, and we've got to keep supporting these young people in their bridge and crossing the bridge between adolescence and adulthood, whether it's track and field, academics, or what have
now,
Good.
for a lot of programs, resources, or I'm just going to be honest, money is a key component of where you can take the program in the future.
you. Mm-hmm.
How can we support your program financially?
Mm-hmm.
For what are the needs that you guys have?
I'd say in any program, reach out to those coaches. There's always, like, we have a foundation account that our alumni or any supporter can donate directly to. And our foundation account is the track and field foundation account. I don't know how it is for other programs, but I suggest you reach out to the head coach of your favorite program and just, offer those services and see what methods and modalities that they have so you can execute your support, financial or otherwise. But I think everybody has that. Now, for me, the Grand Fam thing is real. I didn't realize how real it was until I got here. But they reach out. I have some connections with some of the alumni chapters across the country. They reach out and they ask, like, well, when we go to Houston, the Houston alum, they come out to the meeting, they support us. They might, bring snacks or whatever. Baton Rouge alumni, I've seen them. I've seen the Monroe, Louisiana alumni help out. Atlanta alumni helps out. There's a Los Angeles alumni chapter that helps out. But all these alumni chapters across the country, I think all you have to do is just reach out to your athletic director, reach out to the sport that you want to provide your resources for, and just start that and make those connections. And I get it. In the HBCU landscape, I don't care what school it is. I've heard it. My dad is a staunch Morehouse alumni and gives back. My dad was a running back there and ran a little track there. I get it. There's a section of us that don't trust where that money's going. But I think if you have open communication and connection with those people, and you can, put whatever beef you have aside, because these young people need us. Whatever beef you have with this person who worked there 20 years ago or 15 years ago, or when you were there, like, put that to the side. These kids need us because the gap is getting bigger. The gap is getting bigger. I told you, I ran at Kentucky. The gap between us and the resources at LSU track and field was different. So we had to make it up in other ways. And we were trying to catch them. The gap between the Washingtons and the UCLAs are big. But the gap between our conference and what's going on in the SEC, what's going on in the ACC, what's going on in the Big 10 and the Big 12, there's a conference, a power conference. It used to be Power 5. There's a power conference that barely exists now, right? So they're separating from themselves. Like, literally, the UCLAs and the USCs of the world with the Oregons left the Pac-12 and went to the Big 10 and left Oregon State and Washington State just rot on their own, right? And they're just now trying to recover that conference. So they're separating from themselves. Imagine what they're doing to us. So we need alumni support. I don't care what school it is. Look, I'm whoever you support, whoever's watching this. If you're a Rattler, support your Rattlers. If you're a Bulldog in Alabama, go support them. But reach out. They need. I don't care if it's $50 a month. Like, do what you got to do because these kids need it. That money's going to go somewhere to a young person. It might be your nephew. It might be your cousin. It might be a future opportunity there. It's worth the investment because these kids are doing an amazing job, and we're doing a lot with a little. Like, seriously, go look at your HBCU track and field program and compare it to any other sport at your university. Who else is sending people to the NCAA championships every year? Track and field is. Okay? So our athletes are ranked in the top 100. Y'all realize it's been almost over 20 years since an HBCU basketball player has been drafted in the NBA? Right? So these track and field athletes deserve that level of support too. And look, I'm going to stand on it because, it's just facts. Go look at it. FAMU had Kirk, who was the subject of the meme and all that stuff. Kirk was at the NCAA championships at 800 meters last year. He ran 146.8. I ran 148 too. I would dream to run 146. He was at the NCAA championships. Name another top 100 athlete. He was in the top 24 in the country. Name another top 100 athlete on that campus. I don't know if there is one, right? Pine Bluff put a guy in the 400 final. Name another top 100 athlete in any other sport at Pine Bluff, football or otherwise. We had a guy 2 years ago that was in the top 24 in the long jump. There was nobody else at Grambling they weren't getting drafted. Especially in the first round. What is 32 teams, so 100 athletes is going to be 3.5 rounds, right? Like, nobody's getting drafted in the first 3 rounds. Basketball or football or might be some baseball players getting picked up, but they go straight to A or AA ball. So, they might be in the top 300, but they might not be in the top 100. Track and field is the most successful NCAA level sport that the HBCUs produce. North Carolina A&T. You go look at the history of it. Texas Southern in the 70s was one of the best men's track and field programs in the country. They were finishing in the top 7, top 8 the NCAA. Look at what North Carolina A&T has done recently. Go back and look at the Tiger Bells. Coach Ed Temple back in the day, putting people on Olympic teams. The Tiger Bells were the Olympic 4x1 in the 60s, right? Go look at my Hampton, Howard, what they're doing in track and field, putting hurdlers and 800 runners and multi-eventers at the NCAA championships, competing amongst the best kids in the country, regardless of race, gender, or otherwise, nationality or otherwise. We are putting high-level athletes together at the HBCU level, so they need your support, and that money goes a long way. I'm sorry. I got to get off my soapbox. I know that was a long way to answer that question.
No. If you wasn't gonna be on the soapbox, that's
No,
what we here for.
no, it needed to be
We spend a
said.
lot of time on the soapbox. So indoor season is wrapping up, and we're getting ready to start outdoor.
Mm-hmm.
What's some of the individuals from your outdoor team that we should be looking for in this outdoor season?
Gotcha. On the men's side, I'll start with the men. Skylar in the 1500, the 800. We're gonna maybe run a 5K here and there. He ran 407 indoors in a mile, which was an incredible accomplishment coming in as a 417 miler from West Virginia State. I've got another young man, Carson Lowe, that is a nationally ranked javelin thrower out of high school from the Tallahassee area, mind you. I've got another half miler, Justin Greenwood, who just missed the 800 final last year, who was banged up indoors, but he's healthy now and ready to go. Quincy Cherry, who was a regional qualifier last year at 400 hurdles, is back. He was banged up at the end of the indoors, but he's getting healthy and getting himself ready to get ready to try to win this thing this time at the SWAC meet. He was a runner-up last year. Savantez Phillips, who was a regional qualifier in the 110 hurdles, did an amazing job last year. That boy went from 14.4 to 13.9 in pretty much a week and got one of the last spots in the 110 hurdle final. I can't wait till my long jumper, Lawrence Lambert, shakes back. He was a 25-foot long jumper 2 years ago, had some injuries. He's primed to get back to that 25-foot realm. We had an emerging kid, Nick Bailey, in the high jump, always competes well at SWAC. He ended up going 6'10" at Arkansas. And then we gotta get our sprints together. I'm looking forward. We passed the Relay 6 today. Looked good doing that. I'm trying to get CJ Gidry, who was a 2083 200-meter runner a couple of years ago, who was a football player who suffered a neck injury and has been trying to shake back. And then I've got a freshman 400 hurdle kid, LaTerrence Fleming, out of Atlanta, Georgia, who was a 52-2 400 hurdler out of high school last year, who I'm looking forward to open up at 400 hurdles. On the women's side, our throws crew, Tanaya Thomas, who did an excellent job getting on the podium in the weight throw. Marissa Tell in the long jump. Jasmine Caraway, who was a finalist last year in a 40-foot triple jumper. Shamaya Joyner, who was a 21-foot long jumper last year, and her training partner, Angel Sanders, who was a 19-footer. And we added 2 graduate transfers, Madison Holloway and Jada Davis, who are going to be pretty good for us in the long triple high jump area. Trying to think who else. Oh, I've got some really excellent hurdlers on the 400 hurdle side, 100 hurdle side. Amarie Anderson just missed making the 60 hurdle final, and I think she's a better 400 hurdler than she is a short hurdler. And Kai Conley out of Texas, who's a 42-second 300 hurdler out of high school, who looks like I'm not selling no tickets, but I'm very much looking forward to her opening her up at 400 hurdles. And then I've got some transfers, Aja Walter, Dre. What is Dre's last name? I'm going blank. But I'm waiting for her to finally race with some confidence and look how she's looking in practice. And we're going to try and get our confidence in our women's sprints through the relays early and outdoors. So, and then we've got Kimora McLemore, who was a podium finisher in the javelin, who looks amazing right now in practice. So I'm just looking forward to getting this team back going. The women, we took it on the chin a little bit indoors, not scoring on the track. We've been primarily a field event team. So the sprint ladies and the hurdle ladies are looking to get a little redemption and start off hot. We're going to try and be aggressive early. We open up at TCU and then go to Mississippi State. And then the men, we're moving in the right direction. So we just got to continue our ascension. And, like I told them, it's not going to be easy. The Rattlers are not going anywhere. I swear to God, that their women's team, boy, that whole mood that Garfield got, they are John Wick. It is headshots only when the Rattlers come out there. So, and Richie Bean and Alabama State, they ain't going anywhere. They got a great program. Southern, our friends down at Southern, they do a great job of coaching White. So nobody's going to give us anything. So we got to step up to the challenge. and we're looking forward to it.
Well, Coach, I know we ran a little bit over the time that we
No
asked
problem.
you on for, but again, the insight, we love the insight.
Thank you.
And more importantly, we need to know more about our coaches and their personalities. And to just be honest, all of our coaches are competitors. And so we want to make sure that the coaches are seen as complete human beings and not just social media stamps. So that was the whole point of this,
I
because
appreciate it.
for us, we don't do this to get paid. We do this because we love the HBCUs that supported us. If it wasn't for FAMU recruiting Marlo, I would have never been at Florida State.
Yeah.
So I will always give back any way that I can. So I do want to thank you for coming on. I know we was trying to get to Grambling during the basketball season, but at some point we're gonna get to Grambling. We're gonna get up with you, make sure we get you a Gathering of Old Men podcast.
Yeah, come on through, man. I mean, we don't close practice, so if you get here during practice time, come on through. We don't close it up. So yeah, come on through, man. I mean, we got to start showing love to each other. There's enough in this country, and especially politically in this world, that kind of tell us who they think we are. So anytime we get a chance to break bread, especially as competitors or fans or what have you, we need to take that time, because we need to be civil towards each other. So everybody that's out there, let's just be civil towards each other and let's keep it moving. And Marlo, next time I see Jerry, I'll talk to you.
I'm gonna message her when we get off the phone. I'm gonna shoot her a text when we get off.
Because my dad was one of her coaches. Now, he coached the men primarily, but he worked with the sprints and the hurdles and all the way up to 800 meters. So he worked with Jerry too. So yeah, Jerry. Jerry's like big sister to me. I think she's a year or two older than me. That's big sister to me, man.
Yeah, she's a beast.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, very cool.
All right, Coach.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank y'all. Anytime.
All right, have a good season, Coach.
You too. I appreciate y'all.
All right, for everybody that's here tapping in, we will do our regular show at 8:30. So we will see you guys at 8:30 tonight.
Oh man, I was too late.
Appreciate y'all,
fellas. Cool.
No problem. All right.
Y'all.
All right, I'm gonna close it up real quick.
Very much so,
we'll be
Coach.
back at 8:30.
All right, y'all be